get the cool stuff, you're probably going to be paying to move faster.
Also been doing a Red Dead 2 playthrough again.
Oh, nice.
It's just my zen game, man. Like, I started from the beginning. Won't we, Greg?
Won't we, Greg?
Oh, hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Retro Rents Retro Gaming Podcast. It is episode 75, and I am Al.
I'm Nick.
Wow. So again, it's been a bit of a gap since we recorded last.
Just a little bit.
Life found a way. No, no, it's actually been a really rough, I'd say, month my way. It kind of all started at the end of April, beginning of May. My wife just doubled over with stomach pain on a Sunday, and basically it kept her in bed. And then Monday wasn't getting any better. I was trying to convince her then, well, maybe we should go get this looked at. We wound up finally going to the emergency room on Wednesday. I took her down. Yeah, and it was weird. They were going to keep her overnight. They got her, the pain under control and stuff, and they ran all kinds of tests. And they're like, well, it's not, your appendix is enlarged, but it's not conclusive that it's appendicitis, because, your white count's not up. Well, a whole bunch of shit. And so Thursday, they're like, well, look, we got to figure out what's going on. So we'll do, an exploratory laparotomy, whatever, surgery, but the small cut and the little whatever. And they're like, we'll go check things out and make sure it's nothing else, and then we'll take the appendix out either way. So they get in there, and indeed, it was her appendix. It ruptured.
Oh, no.
And, yeah, so she had, peritonitis. It was a whole thing. And, she was, but so, yeah, I mean, to say it was a close call, was a bit of an understatement. We probably were in a time window of a few hours that would have probably made a difference for the worst. And, so, yeah, I mean, they did the operation, got her, all set up. She was in the hospital until Saturday. She basically got home just in time for Mother's Day. It felt so bad because she just, she felt wiped out. She still felt like ass. But, made the day nice for her and stuff. But, basically, that entire week, of her being in bed, I was basically, doing all the stuff that she normally does on a day-to-day basis. And holy shit, I don't know how she does it. Because just doing that would wipe me out. And, I was working on top of it. But, yeah, so bringing the kids to school, getting them ready in the morning, getting them dressed, eat your goddamn breakfast, the whole shebang. And, thankfully, my job, my new manager was just freaking awesome, with the whole thing, and just very, hey, family first, this stuff, it'll be here, it's not going anywhere. And so I wound up taking a couple of days that I needed just to take care of the kids, get Amber to, follow up appointments and stuff. But needless to say, it took, the recovery for peritonitis can be lengthy. And it's taken her probably close to a month to get back to where, she's getting her energy back, she's feeling better, she's able to, drive and go do things. But yeah, it was a rough few weeks. So it was I could cast tonight, but I'm exhausted.
Understandable, though.
Yeah, but no, everything worked out okay, and she's close to 100%, and we're just getting back to normal. But that's literally been pretty much the entire month, and it's been a little bit crazy. Actually, there's one thing I forgot to add to the agenda that we have to share at the end. And that is this.
Yes.
and forget this. That's gonna be a super cool callback. Anyway, so yeah, when I did get time once the kids were in bed and stuff, I did a decent amount of gaming, and especially this week, I have been completely hooked on Elite Dangerous Odyssey. Have you heard about that? You know what that's all about?
Oh yeah. So yeah, and for those who don't know, basically Odyssey is the newest DLC, we'll say, or content drop for Elite Dangerous, and it's putting you on the ground, literally.
Yeah.
Not just with vehicles this time.
Yeah,
but,
not just with vehicles.
Boots on the ground.
Yeah. Like you can create through really good customization too, I might add. Like a cool looking character, unique looking characters. And then there's like different suits. Like what's really cool is once you get Odyssey and get it enabled, there's like a training mission where you're playing some retiring special ops guy, and it's like you pretty decked out with like all the good shit, and you like all kinds of missions. I mean, if you played Elite, you understand the space game. Like there's tons of different kinds of missions. And the ground game's no different. There might be like simple courier missions where it's like, hey, go land on this planet at this outpost. I left something in a locker and it's really important and I need you to get it back to me in 3 hours, like 3 real-time hours or something. And you run down and they give you the password to the locker, you take it, go back to your ship and sail away. Or you can be like me and wait till nobody's looking and rob the rest of the lockers blind. Well, you don't get caught. And then there's more interesting ones where it's like you have to go and sabotage a power reactor, and like one of the items you have, like it'll have a required suit for each mission, and like this is where you'll have a Maverick suit where it has like an arc cutter and like a power transfer unit, and it's just really neat how these things work. Like the arc cutter, you have to like go find the panel for like the power core, and you literally it's like a laser blowtorch, whatever you want to call it, and you have to like cut around the metal plate till it falls off, and then pull the component out. All the while, hope to hell no one's coming around the corner to see you, fucking around with things. And there's a ton. Needless to say, I think it and they redid like all the planet stuff on the ground. Like, just looks great, and like it's just added so much depth to an already really deep game. And I've been like completely hooked on it this week. Like the last time I think I logged off my character, I was like all excited because I had like broken 1 million credits. Fucking by last Sunday, I had like 4 million. I was like, oh,
nice,
going for my shit.
Credits.
Yeah, and what I really like about it too is as you start getting the bigger ships, especially when you're playing the ground game, you really get a scope that these ships are fucking huge. Like, some of these ships are really, really big. And it's just cool to get that kind of sense of scale. And now with the ground game, like, if I have a pilot seat or a turret seat in my ship, like, if you were playing, Nick, you could jump in my ship with me and, take over the turret or just hang out in the passenger seat as we cruise around and do shit.
It's actually even more now. So if because I've been doing a little bit in prep work, I haven't picked up Odyssey itself yet, but I was doing some prep flying with some buds. And if they have fighters on board, you actually can take over the drone fighters.
Get the fuck out! I didn't know that. Yeah, that's awesome.
That was a new feature. Again, it's been I think about 2 years since I last stuck my head into Elite Dangerous. So finding out that I was able to do that, it's like yeah, dude. It's like I got the super like decked out super ship, and it's like I got fighters, and you can take over them. It's like yeah. Let me see that. Like so we got into like I forget what it was. It was some huge cruiser thing, and he's like, yeah, just we figured out how to do it. Yeah, and like I got into one of the drone fires, and I got like basically 2 dinky lasers, but it was completely awesome to just instantly jump into the hot seat and be able to play.
Yeah, and I mean with all the the cockpits looking like so detailed and different, like it's just that game has always been decent, but like now I think it's really. Like, it's crossed that threshold into something great. Like, I'm just really having fun with it. So, yeah, I've been playing a ton of that. And then my wife, as we've been hanging out, downstairs more often, hanging out in the TV room when the kids go to bed. Obviously, like, my wife loves horror games, more loves to play co-pilot on horror games while I play it and get the shit scared out of me. So obviously, Resident Evil Village is big on our radar, and I have it, but I never played through 7, so we're playing through 7 now.
Gotcha. Which I think is on Game Pass, is it not?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And 7's fucking terrifying. Like, I'm not easily scared at games. Like, you and I have grown up with, like, the original Resident Evils and the Dead Spaces, and, like, we're pretty used to the game jump scares by now. But oh my god, there are parts of that game where you're just like, yeah, I gotta take a break after 30 minutes and just like,
woo,
just level out a bit, it's not real, Al. Like, it's really, I think the first person view especially adds something pretty terrifying that you just don't get with a third person, over the shoulder. So we've been playing that. I've been really enjoying it. We're probably maybe 4 hours in at this point. And then also been doing a Red Dead 2 playthrough again.
Nice.
It's just my zen game, man. Like, I started from the beginning. It's like we're at the Horseshoe Overlook camp now. We're outside Valentine, and like I just like walking around and riding the horse in that game. Like, I'm so excited to get the fishing pole again. I want to go fishing, and like that's just my game to fucking like hang around and just do stuff and see what happens.
I will say, like, oddly enough, when I was playing Red Dead 2, and I probably need to jump back into myself, but I found myself doing a lot more of the nature stuff in Red Dead 2 than necessarily like the combat stuff. It's just like, it's a gorgeous looking game.
It is, and I think that's the thing. Like, it's such a living, breathing world. Like, the first time I played through it, I was much more into, like, I wanted to see the story. I wanted to understand, like, what happens to Marston's character and who's Arthur Morgan. Like, I was all in on that. So, like, I didn't really take as much time to mess around with the side quests or the nature stuff. But now, like, I'm all in on that. Like, I'm getting all the different herbs. I'm making all kinds of different concoctions. I'm doing hunting. Like, I'm finding the hunting to be crazy relaxing in that, too.
Yeah.
Like, it's just fun. Like, oh, I snagged a deer, put it in the back of the horse, got it with my bow, bring it back to camp, fill up the camp food supplies. Like, I don't know why, like, even though I know playing the game, spoiler alert, like, it doesn't mean much in the end, it's still really fun. Like, it's just a fun game loop. The fishing's fun. Playing around with the camera you get from the one guy is really fun, too. I found some old pictures that I took in my first playthrough in my Xbox screenshots, and there's one where I had, like, positioned Arthur Morgan. He had a cigarette and the fishing pole. And it was just like, you know what? The guy's living the life right there. But yeah, so I've been doing that. And then finally, like, I've had this weird hankering, and I just started getting back into this today, and I think I'm going to play some more of it tomorrow. But I've been wanting to play a good World War I combat flight sim. And there just isn't any, or at least that's what I thought. Like, the last good one I had played was freaking Wings on the Amiga, so it's just say an underutilized genre.
Yeah.
But this game came out in 2013 called Rise of Flight, and it's a World War I combat sim. It looks gorgeous to this day. Like, they've been doing updates and stuff. It's still very active. They release different planes. Like, I highly recommend going through Steam, getting it on Steam. It's like a free-to-play version of it now. And then, like, maybe get one or two of the expansions, the DLCs, read what they are. Like, they're on super sale right now, too, so you can get it for, like, $3 a pop.
Oh, nice.
So I just, like, fuck it and got them all.
Yeah.
And, but you basically, like, there's tons of modes to it. Like, I'm just going through training right now. And then there's, like, pre-scripted campaigns that you can do. And those are, like, there's 4 of them, I think, 4 or 5. And they're really interesting. And then there's a career mode, which really fascinates me, where it is an entire dynamic campaign from the start of the war to the end of the war. And, like, you create your pilot, you pick the regiment you're going to join, You know, you can name them, choose their background, all kinds of shit. And like it's really in depth as far as the writing. Like I was a French nobility, and like it had this whole backstory from my character and how I joined the Air Force. I was like, all right, that's pretty cool. But then like yeah, you work your way up the ranks. You start getting involved in like you start out like I just did a simple recon mission, which was basically like fly over, monitor like troop movement. So you kind of got to go back and forth between these checkpoints that are on your map. And then while I was doing that, I spotted a recon balloon, or not a recon balloon. A recon balloon. As I was coming back towards my base, that was a German recon balloon. So I was like, oh, okay. And I blew the shit out of it. Like, you ain't spying on us. And then went back to my base and landed and wound up getting like extra, you know, accommodation from the our regiment leader because like I stopped them from, you know, doing recon on our lines and stuff. It was just neat, and it was very like natural the way like it started out as a simple, you know, recon mission, and then I did a patrol mission. And got the shit kicked out of me because I'm still trying to learn how to like fly this damn thing because that's the other thing with this game is they have a ultra realistic flight model, and I had to like download a controls profile so I could play it with my you know Imitation 360 controller or Xbox controller, whatever. Just because that's more comfortable for me at this point with my office setup. Sure. And you know now I'm starting to get it, you know, jiving and stuff, but it's pretty slick, man. It looks really good, like super in-depth physics and damage model. Like the bullets are actually like coming at you in trajectory in real time, and like it can hit a certain part of your wing, and all of a sudden you're in a problem. It could hit you in the face, and then you have a real problem.
Sean, I'm sorry. They got us.
They got us right in the eye. So yeah, I mean it's very interesting. I'm looking forward to playing a little more of it and seeing if it's as deep as it feels like it is. Because I have a lot of fun with games like that have like a dynamic, you know, war campaign, especially for flight sims. Like those are the games that are going all out. You could tell they've done tons of research, like on every single plane. It's pretty wild. So for some like history geek like me, I'm having fun messing around with it, and we'll see if it hooks me. But I feel like this one definitely has potential to snag my attention for a while. And yeah, that's pretty much what I've been doing with my crazy life in the past month. What's going on with you?
Yeah, I mean, we finally hit, you know, I think we kind of commented this last time. We were in the bit of the doldrums. Well, now we're finally leaving it.
Yes.
So playing a whole bunch of the new releases and keeping an eye on things, and also finally got around. Well, I say get around, but you know, finally able to get my second shot. Actually,
good for you.
Actually, I think like, is it my entire? I'm trying to think. Did I have my first shot there last time we cast it? I can't remember.
You did.
I did.
You did.
Okay, yeah. So I finally, you know, month has passed, and I, finally got my second shot. Got through it, no problem. Like it was definitely, you know, I had that. Yeah, and I'm kind of glad I took off.
Like I said, it's what I told you. Like you'll be glad you took the day off.
Yeah, I was glad I took the day off. Like it was just like the entire day was just a general level of fatigue. Like I could tell, it's like, you know, it's just like the arm was sore, the rest of the body was like, you know, it felt sore, you know, kind of like, you know, it's like, but not the kind, you know, it's like where if like you hike, you know, like 10 miles or
no, it's like when you get like a fever and you get body aches.
Yeah. It was just, but it was very mild. Like, it wasn't severe. Like I could have easily powered through it and worked if I really wanted to, but you know, it's like I'm kind of glad I just chilled.
Like I told you, it's a good excuse for Ken Burns document.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So got through it, and then the thing is like, so I got my shot, you know, like Thursday afternoon. Friday was just general malaise and fatigue, and you know, just took it easy, stay hydrated. You know, that was the important thing. Like I drank a ton of water.
Yes.
But then it got to Saturday, and it was just like I woke up, it was like, boom, I'm good to go. Like,
yeah,
you know, it's like it was gone. So it was.
Yeah, it's just perfect. One day usually for me. Yeah, I mean, that's what it was for me. One day.
So I would encourage you out there, if you haven't gotten your vaccine shot, I would encourage you to go to your local place and try and get one.
Just the sense of relief, like especially once you pass the 2-week mark.
Yeah, that's the kicker. Is we were talking about this. It's like I related back to the Jaws thing where Quint's like, I was most scared waiting for you to get on the plane.
Yeah, I was just waiting in the water, wondering if he'd be waiting for my turn.
Yeah, it was that. It's like not only like was it easy to get through, but it was just very much like a relief to get. It's like, okay, finally. Obviously, chances are we'll probably need like booster shots or whatever later on. But
yeah, I mean, it's gonna be like a flu shot every year, man. It's just the way it's gonna be, and if it has the added benefit of me having to take a day off every time I get it, oh well, I don't mind.
But yeah, so that's a bit of the real life. But yeah, getting on to what I've been playing. So I think since the last time, playing a whole bunch of stuff. So Dishonored was on, I think it's still on Game Pass. I've been playing through that, having a blast with that. It was very
what do you think?
Oh, it's so fun. The way it sets up that, at first I was a little confused because like it really drops everything in your lap almost all at once. I'm not used to that in most games, because usually it's like, okay, you gotta play a couple levels and you can like maybe choose a path in terms of like skills or whatever. And like, you play some more and then, okay, now you have access to 2 more. And it's like, no, like almost right away you had your choice on which, kind of like and I say skills. So there's like, gadgets, various like kind of like superpowers that you get as part of in this world in terms of like teleporting, taking over things. I kind of relate them to almost like force powers. I mean, it's like quasi like Jedi without being a Jedi. And again, you can go through the entire level any way you want. You can go through stealth mode. You can just go like balls to the wall, just murdering everyone. And what you do, I learned, impacts the kind of the next time you go to that same area. So like I think one of the initial areas, like I murdered like half the map on stream, because it's like I was doing okay doing stealth, but it's like I'll come around corners, there'll be a guy right there, like, who are you? It's like stab.
Nobody.
And then I went return to the map next time, and there's a lot more rats running around. And my chat was saying like, oh yeah, like when you murder people, like it's gonna get worse in terms of the rat population. I'm like, oh no.
Yeah, dude.
So I love that level of like, impact, and it had, has this very like Thief vibe to it.
Yes.
And and I'm very much a fan of Thief.
And multiple ways to like attack the problem.
Yeah, exactly. There's no like strict like, oh, you must follow the path here. Although there is some linearity to it, but for the most part, once you enter an area, like you any way you'd like to go, you try and find out. Like I said, you find like a sneaky vent to go in. You can try and take over like a rat and sneak in that way through like a rat hole. You can charge in through the front door if you want. It's like whatever you want to play, it will let you do it. And I really appreciate that level of flexibility to the place. And it's definitely like some replayability to that too, because that means like, okay, did I totally goof this up the first time I did it? Okay, let me try and see if we do the stealth mode, or vice versa. Like, let me just go ham with all these powers. So doing that, been playing some Enlisted. That's and if you don't know what that is, basically it's from Gaijin, who made War Thunder. It uses very much the same engine in Enlisted, but Enlisted is designed to be a ground pounder. World War II. They've got a couple maps. It is in beta. I say beta. It's more like early access is the best way to describe it. Right. They have a couple maps. It is free to play, so it's like no cost to try it out.
Look at that.
I will say, like, you can see they're doing the same thing they kind of did. Not the same thing, but War Thunder's free too. And so they're kind of doing the same path. You can definitely see they've set it up as like, if you really want to get the cool stuff, you're probably going to be paying to move faster. And that's how their pay model is set up. It's basically pay for faster XP. You can pay for kits and, get, there's like you can buy the airplane kit and get that unlocked immediately type of thing. Obviously you'll have no idea how to fly. And I just unlocked the airplane, and it is great. It is like full on simulation, mechanics.
Oh, no shit.
So if you played the War Thunder and you ever played the sim mode in War Thunder, that's exactly how the flight mechanics work. So it is rough to fly the plane in that thing. which I appreciate because
I appreciate that if it's if it's mainly a ground game, like you'd have a crazy advantage if it was easy.
Exactly. Like the ground, I'd say is more arcadey, but both tank and flight are very much sim mode, so it kind of balances those out, because those can be crazy overpowered devices if people have them. And I now, as with any game, there are some very elite players out there, especially the pilots, who are like they'll stay up the entire time just like strafing like crazy, and it's like, okay,
shit,
no one can take them down. But they can't see, so like for a plane, they can't see anything on the ground unless the ground units start calling out targets. So it's very difficult for them to just like kind of
it's a nice counterbalance.
Exactly. Whereas on the ground, it's like you have a pretty good sense of like, okay, here all your friendlies are marked with like kind of blue triangles. You don't see any red for the enemies, but you can tell it's like, okay, no blue triangle, I'm shooting you. But the ground part is it's so fun. And I say this because they have a couple modes. So they do have a Normandy map.
Oh, nice.
And they have a standard like capture the flag or control, like or not capture the flag, I should say ABC, conquest mode.
Yeah.
But I think the true highlight is the defense mode, and it is literally the Normandy Beach defense mode is literally Saving Private Ryan. You are, if you're the Americans, you are literally stepping off the landing craft into a hail of bullets. And vice versa, if you're playing, the Axis, you're just mowing them down as they approach you on the beach from the bunkers. And you think that like, oh, is that like completely unbalanced? Like the way they have it set up, if your team is organized enough, you can like push past the bunkers into like kind of the surrounding countryside and whatnot. And it like, again, like the experience, like as soon as I started playing, and the thing is, you can't select it. You have to like wait for it to come up and randomly. So it's like,
right.
You choose, they break it down to campaign. So basically, if you want to play the Normandy Beach, you basically choose the Normandy campaign. And then, what'll happen is it'll kind of go through its different modes and map sections too. So Normandy right now is broken down into, I think, like 4 different map sections. There's like the beachhead, the town with like a church tower. So, it looks like, like they seriously, exactly. Yeah. Something like that. It looks like the end scene of Saving Private Ryan with the church tower. So it's like they're either drawing like heavily from that, or just like obviously
sounds like Band of Brothers too could be.
Yeah, very much that too. Yeah, and then they have like a swampland, and so it'll kind of rotate through those maps and in the different modes. But yeah, like when I just love it when Normandy Beach comes up in this defense mode. Like I don't care which side I'm playing on. Like it is fun either way. Yeah, it is absolutely fun. And the thing is, you do have to like level your squad. So there's a whole like huge leveling mechanic, unlocking weapons and whatnot. But it doesn't give you like completely new weapons. I feel like you can be very capable. Like most of the weapons you start off with your starter squad is basically bolt action.
Yeah,
like it's kind of like early war stuff. And exactly, yeah, you do get the Garand on the ally side, so you think like, okay, yeah, you're not going to have fast firing, but the gun is super accurate. It's basically a one-shot kill if you can, nail the aim. As you go along, like you'll get access to like the submachine guns, the machine guns, which are more powerful for like room clearing. Because like, yeah, when you swing into a room and you're just like bang, bang, and you're like kind of dancing around, hoping
you're going to be dead.
You're hoping you don't die. Yeah. Whereas if you have a machine gun, you can just kind of enter and spray and pray. Now, obviously, that's the weaponry, and so far it's sounding like, okay, this is just your standard, World War II shooter. Well, I think the big difference that stands out with Enlisted in my mind is, again, I mentioned the squad, and so you'll have access to, there's a ton of squads that you can set up in game, but you'll have access to, I think, actively 4 or 5 on the free version. Then I think you get like 6 or 7, if you do the premium. And what'll happen is you'll move along, and you'll start off with, say, like a squad of 5 you select. And the thing is, when the guy that you're originally playing dies, you will instantly like zip to one of the other members in your squad. Hopefully they haven't been shot yet. And so you'll instantly just keep playing. So it's not a matter of like, oh, I'm on a death screen, let me respawn. It'll be like
an awesome mechanic.
It very much is. And you can kind of like do this body swap during play. So let's say like, okay, I'm on my squad leader. He has the stuff I need, but he already checked his grenade. So I want a guy with a grenade. So you press the Y button, boom, switch to one of your other squad members who hasn't used his grenade yet.
That is a dope idea.
And it's fantastic. Yeah, exactly. And it's fantastic because when you actually encounter the enemy, you'll encounter, like obviously they're actual players, but he's surrounded by his like NPC squad. So you really don't know who you're shooting at. Like, obviously if someone's like, bunny jumping around, it's like, okay, there's the player type of thing. But if they kind of, they set up the AI in such a way that they kind of follow you enough that it's hard to tell, like, who are you shooting at? So you can, and it rewards itself in a sense because you'll get these super high kill counts as a result. Now, obviously, it's not all players.
Yeah, that's saying because you'll be taking care of like some of the bot slash NPCs.
Yeah,
awesome.
But it adds to that sense of the battlefield aspect. So there may only be like 15, 20 players running around, but there'll be
that's like 100 people.
Yeah, exactly. That's why the Normandy beach scene looks so crazy because you have everyone in their squads rolling up. And it's just like, there's this, I say sea of soldiers coming at you if you're on the other side, but it's like, it makes total sense.
I think downloading it now, but it's going to fuck Craig up. But I'm definitely downloading this up.
It's definitely worth a check out. I would say, I would highly recommend, unless you're really going to commit to it, it's like, don't go, you don't need to go all in on the premium. Just enjoy it like an hour. It's one of those games, like enjoy it like no more than an hour at a time. And you'll have a blast. The unlocks come at a really decent pace, cool. and again they got I think they're working on 4 maps. There's a Normandy map, there's a Berlin map, which is
nice.
Is like basically the fall of Berlin.
Yep.
At the end of the war. There's the defense of Moscow. So you get the Russians and the Germans going at it. And I think they're working on I want to say Tunisia, so it's like basically like Africa core.
So kind of all the main core theaters.
That's dope. And again, it's an early access, but I'm hoping they kind of because if they take this concept, they could really go into any theater. The Pacific Theater.
And it'll feel legit. With like you're saying with the soldier count, like that's such a great idea.
Yeah, I thought it was the most clever thing when I finally looked into it and played it, and it's like, oh man, this is actually pretty fun. I'm definitely gonna grab that. Again, it's free, so it's like it's definitely worth it. If you're looking just to like have a good, I'd say rounds take about 30 minutes, so it's like if you minimal like that amount of time to have fun, it's like it's awesome.
Hell yeah. I'm gonna try that out. Sounds great.
And then the last game I'm playing, which I've been looking forward ever since they announced it, was Subnautica 2. Well, it's Subnautica Below Zero, but basically Subnautica 2.
You have been waiting.
Oh man, like I love the first one, and I've been playing the second one here to death. I think I've already got 30, 40 hours in it or so.
Wow.
It's just like oh, I gotta play more. I haven't even beaten it yet. I just keep wandering around and exploring and building out my bases and stuff. But having a blast. It's very much like if you love Subnautica 1, it's more of the same, yet still kind of introducing new things to it. There's a new kind of surface blizzard mechanic, which is pretty fun. And again, some new surprises, I think, for even the underwater component. But it's like if you enjoyed Subnautica 1, Subnautica 2 is absolutely worth a pickup and play.
I have it. I bought it in early access. I still haven't played it because I haven't beaten Subnautica 1, which I'm still going through.
I would recommend doing that. It's not critical, but there are some story elements that will kind of help fill in the gaps for Subnautica 2.
Yeah, and I'm digging it. I love the game so far. It's kind of a Zen game for me until I start going above those dark black abysses. Then it's not so much.
The oscillation from Zen to terror is very quick.
No, that's awesome, dude. I really look forward to playing that one. But you got me thinking with Dishonored. Danny and us producers over at NoClip. Danny just did a Dishonored documentary on NoClip.
Oh, nice. Okay.
It's free. Just pull it up on YouTube. It's a phenomenal look at how that game was made. And just what went into it. And the fact that you're appreciating like some of the stuff the developers were like, we really wanted to show like how your actions impact, each area or whatever, and that was like a big thing for them. So yeah, it's totally worth a watch. It's really, really good. Let's see other release highlights. Yeah, like you said, it's all rolling now. We got Resident Evil Village. Let's talk Hood for a minute. I have only had time at this point to play through the tutorial.
Okay, so you've at least played. I watched gameplay. I picked it up myself, but I haven't got around to like actually playing it yet. I need to do that. But...
Oh, okay. I was figured you probably had played a few matches. So the tutorial's great. I am looking forward to playing a multiplayer match with friends.
Yes.
It just seems like this game would be better than just doing randos. I'd say my only complaint is I wish there was some kind of like single player bot NPC mode. Like that's how the tutorial works, and it's actually really fun. Like I would love to be able to just play the game because it's very interesting. Like the characters and the take on the Robin Hood legend that they're doing is super, super interesting, and like I would love more of a story mode to like dive into it. But that being said, what I have played seems pretty solid. I'll reserve any opinions until we can get some multiplayer time in.
I will say it is enjoyable watching. I've watched a few streams of it so far. And it's like, yeah,
it's fun to watch. It's definitely fun to watch.
And yeah, but I'm in the same boat. It's like I kind of want to, it's wanting to play with friends as opposed to necessarily randos,
But yeah, no, it's fun to watch too. Like the game loop in that is very, very fun. I mean, to watch at least. Let's see. Yes, Biomutant dropped. Was it yesterday?
Is it out yet? Because I know
it's out.
I've been seeing like previews and whatnot from various streams. Yeah.
No, it's out. It's and like this is one of those. I kind of this one I'm gonna wait till Game Pass. Just because everything sounds pretty lukewarm on it. Like there's some really great ideas, but it just gets repetitive. So it's kind of like, all right.
That's kind of what I got from watching the preview streams. Like it's like very pretty world.
Yeah, beautiful world.
But it's just like, yeah, it's just kind of there. Nothing.
It's
nothing
not
really
nothing
new.
nothing groundbreaking.
Yeah. So again, not bad, but it's just kind of there. So it's like, and I think I'm in the same boat. Like, yeah, I'll wait for something, like to hit Game Pass or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I got too much to play right now, and that's not going to pull me away from anything.
I think that's part of it. It's like there's a lot. I'm like, I'm having fun with all this other stuff right now.
Yeah, and then I just remembered the other thing I've been dabbling in because it just released this week. Well, I had ordered like the deluxe edition, and it gave me like a 3 days early access for Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne. I love the Persona series, and I've never really gotten to play SMT. Whereas like Persona is role playing, but also like there's the whole social aspect of like building connections with your friends, because then that makes your like RPG and battle elements better. It unlocks powers and stuff. It's a neat idea, but SMT3 is more like kind of like dark Final Fantasy meets like Pokemon is the only way I can describe it, where like you can convince these other demons to join your party, and like there's tons of them, and they're all different kinds. They look different. They have different weaknesses and strengths, and you actually need to build like a pretty diverse party so that you can handle like, oh, this demon's weak to this, and because the fights get harder, and if you're just trying to like slam into the with a brick wall or whatever, it's just not going to work. This is a really neat strategy to it. The story is interesting. It's very fucking weird, but I like it so far. But yeah, so that one I'm looking forward to diving into. I know that's a favorite of Travis, our old co-host. He's the one that kind of got me into that series. But yeah, that's out, and people seem to love it. It's a really good remaster from what I've been understanding. So it's pretty cool. This next one is all you. I did not see this yet.
Yeah, so this actually, I think I just caught it. Was it this morning or late last night? But the Unreal Engine 5 demo dropped, at least publicly. Very snazzy looking, and it's kind of this is kind of a behind the scenes thing. Like it's not necessarily a game. Obviously, it's designed to make games, being the Unreal Engine,
right?
And I think it's important to kind of see like what stuff do developers get access to. Like what are we going to be seeing?
Yeah.
And especially like things to look out for, because I don't know if it's come with age or just like being more aware of these kind of things, especially with like Kickstarters, where I guess the common thing right now is to literally take like various engines, be it Unreal or whatever, and obviously they have asset kits on as part of the engine, and literally slap things together quickly, and then get a Kickstarter, quote unquote, and it's like, and try and dupe people into like, give me money for stuff, and then never produce something.
Yeah.
That it was an odd thought process as I was going through. It's like, because I was watching, it's like, man, this is like really sharp stuff, and they're like, oh yeah, this is all the stuff you'll have in the demo, not the demo, but the the software kit. Yeah. And I'm like, oh wow, like someone really could pull a number on this, because like it like crazy
really
sharp. Good. Yeah. And it's like really sharp environmental stuff. They had like kind of a fight with they set up a fight with a golem and whatnot, and it's really cool to see like kind of like some of the automation and level of setup that you can actually do for like game sequences, and
that's
like
cool.
They even had like sound in it, like a whole sound like pathing tree of like, okay, you power up, and then it goes into this decision tree of like, okay, and they explain like like this golem fire up sound, like, okay, here's what it looks like, and it's like obviously I don't know the finer details, but I can make sense of like what they're showing. It's like, oh, this is actually pretty nifty.
It's wild. I'm gonna have to watch that. I love that shit.
Yeah, definitely look it up. It just came out, and I think they're releasing the engine to developers soon. But again, for anyone who likes to see behind the stuff, seen stuff, it's very informative, I think, in terms of what we'll see going forward. And it's like if anyone's using the Unreal Engine in general, obviously this is 5, but yeah, it's interesting to see like where will the industry go with this.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely gonna check that out. And then I just added. I saw one of your later entries is to do with VR. Have you heard of DEMEO yet?
I the name has come up. I can't picture what. Oops, hit the microphone. I can't picture what it is though.
Check out the video I posted in or the post I did in the save point, and Jeremy posted a few clips of it. But it's basically like it's VR, kind of if Hero Quest, the board game.
Oh, that's that. It's like a D&D board, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, that looks super cool.
It's amazing. Like they only have one campaign right now, and they're planning on expanding quite a bit because the game is now hugely successful. I think more than they anticipated. But just so many things stand out. Graphically, it's gorgeous. The engine is amazing. Like just so well put together. So bolted top notch to where it's like, oh, you do this and you can zoom in close to the board and it looks like you're standing right next to your character. Like dude, like you can zoom in, you could pick up the characters, and we realized if you tilt them over, it has like the sticker on the bottom that says that it's made in Sweden.
Clever.
And the figures are super detailed. Like there was a really funny clip of us, because it was me, Jeremy, and his buddy Sean, and we were having a few drinks and playing the game, and we got to the final boss, and she's like this giant, nasty, ogress looking, I don't even know. And Jeremy just picked her figurine up, and he's like, she's got folds. She's got dirty cankle folds. Look at this. And it was like the level of detail, and again, just. No, we didn't run into any bugs, and it was so well put together. Like, you actually roll the dice. Well, and then as you play, like, you're building a deck of skills for your character class. And, like, you get money, with the money that you get during the floor run, you then use to purchase cards, which, are skills that you can then use on your next run. And, like, It is just so solid. We wound up, like I said, we got to the boss, and I had this one card in my deck that I had chosen after we completed the second floor, and it was real expensive. But I was like, man, if this works like it says, like, how do you pass this up? And it's called Coin Flip. And basically, if it lands on, I think heads or whatever, it will pretty much kill whatever you casted it at. If it lands on tails, I think nothing happens, or it opens you up to like massive vulnerabilities, so you're pretty much going to be dead on your next hit. And the final boss has like a shit ton of HP. We were like worn down, and it was just one of those like, I'm like, fellas, what do you think? Should I just do it? They're like, yeah, do it. And I casted it, and all of a sudden there's a coin in my hand. I had to throw the coin up in the air, and then it landed on heads, and we're like, yes! And then all of a sudden, the boss dies, and we're like, oh shit. And then, like, we thought we'd have to go to the chest, and all of a sudden you hear the chest open, and, like, we see the ending sequence. I'm like, did we just win? Holy shit, we just won! But yeah, I mean, we played, it was a couple hours. I think it was like a 2 or 3 hour session, and we didn't even realize it. Like, we were having so much fun. The way they integrate the multiplayer in that, like, again, it was so solidly put together. No bugs, no annoyances, and the gameplay is just top notch. I cannot recommend DEMEO enough. If you have VR and like you want to play some D&D style stuff with friends that you haven't seen in a while, like we had incredible fun playing that game. I can't wait to play it again, actually. That was a good time. But all right, so that's all the releases and all the crazy shit that's come out since we talked last. We got some news. Oh boy, do we have some news.
some interesting news, too.
Some interesting news and some great news. I'll let you take this first one. This shit just makes me scratch my head.
Yeah, so it came out that Ubisoft is looking to switch to more high-end free-to-play model. And, I mean, I just talked about a free-to-play model with the, listed. Obviously, that's Gaijin, though. Mm-hmm. But I think they're looking to more take a page from like Activision with, I think Warzone is free to play, if I'm not mistaken, correct? Yeah. So I think they're, and they're looking to basically kind of move their like Tom Clancy series primarily. Like they're kicking off with what's called Heartland, which will be part of the Division series. So if you play Division 1 and 2, it'll be kind of set in the same universe, but it'll be Heartland is debuted as part of, I don't know if it was tied in with this announcement, but it's kind of around the same time, and that's going to be a free-to-play model. But obviously there is money involved because it's it's usually like I believe Warzone is like obviously there's visual or cosmetics, but I think there's some XP boosters. I'm not exactly sure. I haven't looked too deeply into that, but it's an interesting take because obviously Activision has already done with their Call of Duty. Ubisoft is now doing it. Why the shift? Are we going to see more? I mean, EA's kind of done it with Apex Legends as well. That's free to play model. It's like I guess that's what it is. The battle pass, because Apex Legends does the battle pass. Yep. I believe Fortnite does. Warzone's going to be or is already doing it, I believe. So are they going to more that battle pass as the method to keep the funding? And I don't know where I sit with this because it sits in an interesting place because we talked about this in a previous one, I know, where I think I was talking about like Sea of Thieves is doing kind of a battle pass system for their new content, but it creates this general FOMO, fear of missing out, to entice the players to keep not only playing, but obviously pay into the battle pass system so you can get these cool cosmetics that and this is universal. I mean, like, especially when it comes to gamers, if there's something that you can have that someone else can never get and you can lord it over them, players will do it.
Yes, they will.
I mean, it goes without saying it's not a game exclusive thing either. I mean, outside the gaming world, I mean, this takes place.
Anything that can do that will do that.
Exactly. So. Like, I say it's somewhat human nature, but yeah, I mean, it's kind of that. And I don't know how I feel about that. Like, because usually I don't go in for the battle passes. Like, I think I'm trying to remember if I ever did it Like I'll do if it's free. Like, you know, I'll happily play
if you can play it for free and unlock the battle pass stuff, then yeah.
Again, I'll go back to see if these, like, it's like the battle, you know, pass thing is going on around. They have a free portion and, you know, the buy-in portion. Like, free portions, like, yeah, it's like I don't mind free stuff, and, you know, I enjoy the game, so I'll play it, get free stuff. Why not? So I don't mind that aspect, but it's like I don't know where I feel where like suddenly there's this huge shift of everyone's doing it now. It's like, what is going on?
I feel like when it comes to certain kinds of games, if they're going to do it as like a game as a service, like let's take Hood, for example.
Sure.
If Hood has a really solid roadmap and it looks like it's going to be a game in the long term, I don't care so much for the battle passes as long as you're adding content to the game.
Yeah.
That you know, we can generally experience for free. Yeah, if you want to lock the cool cosmetic shit, like, go ahead. There are people that will pay a butt ton for that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And
pay for your digital pixels.
Yeah, I mean, I understand, you know, like that loop of it. And if you're gonna have something pay for, you know, just to access and play it, like, it better be substantial. Like, it better be fucking good and add a ton to the game. But
I mean, I think we've seen, though, like, you know, the industry has backed off that kind of like exclusivity behind, you know, it's like if you buy the DLC and you know, if you don't have it, then you can't play it. Like they seem, you know, and I think along with this, where it's like, yeah, you'll have access, quote unquote, to the DLC, but you'll either need a friend to do it, and or it'll be there, but you won't have all the cool stuff, like either like a new class or
like,
you know,
Odyssey is a great example. Like,
yes.
That one's actually a little more painful in that people playing an Odyssey are kind of in a different instance. Like, all of your guild stuff will be there, but like, and if I understand it right, like, but you will be kind of in different worlds with the people that don't have it. So, like,
it's like, obviously, you know, you can interact with, you know, like Odyssey people can interact with everyone else. Everyone can interact with them, but obviously they can't go down.
They can't
planet,
go to the ground,
or the ground
like
component. That. Yeah. So, you know, probably Elite Dangerous is still kind of that view of like, if you don't have it, you can't participate in it.
Right.
You can still
stuff
play
like Brawlhalla,
which
is
else.
You know, Brawlhalla, which is pretty neat.
Yep.
You know, it has its like little battle pass stuff, but then they still have like cosmetics that are completely locked behind a paywall, where it's like, oh, you can have fucking Daryl from The Walking Dead or Lara Croft from Tomb Raider, and you know, whatever. And I don't know, I don't really care. Like, I just hated, you know, like the initial pass at this. I always look back at like Battlefront 2, you know, when Star Wars Battlefront came out, and it was like, in order to even get the characters, like iconic characters to play as or whatever, it was just an absurd push for paying to do it.
Yeah.
Like, that's where you're killing it for me. But if it's like reasonable to where it's like, if it's something I really gave a shit about, and it's like, yeah, you know what, I'll buy the battle pass. Like, I would really like to have that particular whatever, what's it.
And I'm wondering if this is like the natural, I say natural path, but kind of, you know, the result of like the anti-loot box stuff. Because I mean, we
absolutely
we kind of see this
1000% why.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of see these ebb and flows. Obviously, the game industry, you know, as with any industry, that, you know, they kind of test, you know, I say test, but you know, utilize aspects of like, their business. They got to make money, so it's like loot boxes were the big thing. But obviously now, like, governments are pushing way back on that. You know, a lot of places, you know, like they're either
a lot of places see it as gambling.
Yeah, it's like you got to be signing up for gambling license stuff, and it's necessarily illegal, but it's very much like you got to go through a lot of hoops now in many countries to, you know, be selling loot boxes and whatnot. So you see, you know, they see, you know, now they're shying away from that because, you know, obviously that's too much work to try and pull off. So now it's like, I think Battle Pass is kind of like the new thing where it's like, okay, it's this constantly recurring subscription. So you know, and obviously you're getting stuff out of it. It's not gambling. If
everybody's getting the same thing out of it for paying for it,
very true.
Then it's
but at the same time, you know, it also kind of has this like, you got to keep, you know, again, it goes back to the FOMO thing, and for me, it's a love-hate relationship with the FOMO, where it's like, even I am susceptible to this, where it's like, oh yeah, I really want that one thing there, you know, that's part of this season, so I want to at least grind enough to do that. But I will say that, you know, there was a game that I was playing for a good while. I've stopped. I've basically I stopped a cold turkey about a year ago because I got fed up with like where it was going. But basically it was ramming basically these events down the player's throat. Like it used to be where like
it wouldn't be the game they flew you out for, would it?
It might have been. It might have been.
Oh shit! Really? Wow. Yeah, I noticed that when I was playing too.
It's like
the Warhammer stuff. I was like, what the fuck?
Exactly. It's like it used to be like the events were spaced out enough, and it's like, okay, you could actually enjoy it. You could enjoy it, and it didn't feel like a job. You could play the content, you can get the content, but it got to the point where they were overlapping. Like there were 2 events, 3 events, all happening at the same time, and in order to get everything you wanted out of that, well, no, it wasn't even pay. Well, no, I take it back. They were moving to a pay, like you had to pay to get it successfully, or you had to grind your brains out. Yeah. And it was just getting to a ridiculous point, and I was basically I got to a point and broke my back, and it's like, you know what, I'm walking away. I've had enough of this. Like, now I certainly have my appreciation for World War II ships and whatnot, but
it only goes so far.
But it only goes so far. It's like, and the thing is, like, obviously it was one of those weird things. Like after the first month or two, it was like I got the shakes, but now it's like I look back, it's like I enjoyed my time playing, but I hated by the end of it that like basically I was logging in, I wasn't having, I wasn't playing to have fun anymore. It was
you were just playing to get the stuff
just to keep up type of thing. It's like, you know what, that was the quitting point. And
that's the delicate dance these companies are gonna have to walk.
And that's where it's kind of this mixed issue, because obviously again it's like others like I can casually play. It's like I don't care about the end goal thing for whatever this is, or they make it easy enough that you can get to the end of the season of items and not feel like you have to grind your brains out. But like I almost feel like I saw the inevitable end of where they could take it. It's like you get to a point where it's like it's multiple events happening at the same time, or the grind is so steep
that you just your only option is to pay.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what worries me. It's like as long as it keeps it casual, it's like okay, it's like you have plenty of time to grind this. There's no rush. It's like if you play like 1 hour every week is more than enough to get to the end. Like to me, that's comfortable. And appropriate.
And there are still going to be people that are going to be like, I don't have that time, so I'll just buy it. I think it's cool.
Yeah, and I have no problem with that either. It's like obviously if you have the money but don't have the time, it's like nothing wrong with that.
But I do think you're a really good example of there are games that are going to cross that line, and you're going to lose a lot of players, especially core players that have been supporting you from early days. And that's when they're either going to do one of two things. They're either going to shift back and be more reasonable, or they're going to try to go all in, and eventually they'll be gone in a year or two. Like, it's just not going to be sustainable.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll see. I think as long as they're dancing the dance in the right way, I'm for it. But I also think the companies that don't do it right, those games are just not going to last. They won't be around long enough.
Or they'll accept the high churn rate. I mean, that's what happens. Like you're going to have all these new players coming in, like really excited, but their longevity really won't last because like it's like you either got to again grind your brains out or pay through the roof just to keep up.
It's not sustainable. That's not going to be a sustainable model.
And they'll just spit them out, and like basically all they're focused on then is just the churn of new players. Like they're not looking to keep the veteran players around, and those veteran that do keep around, like they don't care about.
Yeah. So I agree. It'll be interesting to see.
But anyway,
which way that goes.
I digress.
It's interesting. I didn't know that. All right, Vive. I'll give you this one as well.
Yeah,
that's disappointing.
Yeah, about 2 weeks ago now, I think Vive revealed there are 2 new systems, Pro 2 and the Focus 3. It was actually interesting to watch because it wasn't really, I say traditional. It felt more like a GDC probably style presentation than necessarily what we see at like E3 or any other like, more gamer oriented. Like their conference, their virtual conference, I should say, was very much geared towards like the developers slash like business level, so it's very dry material. Like I was basically like kind of watching it during my lunch break, and it's like it's like, okay, they're shutting this off. I'm bored to death. On some of some of it was interesting, but a lot of it was just like none of it was like almost gaming related at all. But it's also interesting. It's like that's how they're kind of marketing it. But Pro 2 is designed to be the prosumer level. It's kind of an upgrade of the Vive Pro, if you're familiar with that headset. It looks very much the same, has increased pixel and whatnot, and surround sound speaker system, or not speaker, but audio system built in. Nothing super too advanced. It's like, oh yeah, I gotta jump on that right now. And then their focus 3 was definitely like their business application oriented stuff. And that was a little more interesting just to see what they're trying to do with virtual reality within, the business sphere. A lot of this is like, training for like firefighting or police, or even like industrial workers of like, dealing with like, plant meltdown, not in the gaming aspect. Like you think it'd be, might be cool. Like I know there's like a Chernobyl game, like cleanup crew game, I think coming, not VR but related, but it's interesting to see this. But at the same time, like the biggest thing I got out of this though was like, they're kind of pushing the hardware, some neat stuff for like, for museums, obviously, bringing up like, the fact that COVID, put everyone indoors, and now it's like museums are, obviously museums are coming back, but there's definitely like the year of struggle where it's like, no one could go to the museum and appreciate, whatever they happen to have. Whereas something with like a VR, headset up, like you could take a virtual tour of the museum. And I think a lot more, museum and art, and everything from like the arts to, like the aquarium and things like that.
That's super cool.
Are starting to look into these types of things, whereas they really didn't do it before, because, before, it's like,
there's no need.
There's no need, and if people saw, it kind of lived in this weird world of like, if people saw this stuff online, then they wouldn't necessarily visit the museum. I actually feel like the opposite, because I mean,
that would make me want to go.
Yeah, exactly. Like during quarantine, like, I've been watching like, some of the museum ships. So like the New Jersey has their own channel, Massachusetts, USS Massachusetts up in Fall River has their own channel, and they've been doing like regular video releases of like parts of the ship. It would just been really cool. It's like, oh man, I really want to go back and visit it. But yeah, so it kind of lives in this weird space, and they talk about that. It's like how, it's like before museums were really reluctant to kind of look into this stuff, but now they're looking into it, because they obviously it can be a revenue avenue.
Yeah, revenue generator. Absolutely.
And it's a way of like getting people informed, and actually, eventually go to the, like you said, like I'm more encouraged, like, if I see it virtual, it's like I really want to go and see it in person, because like there's a stark difference to seeing something virtually. It's like, yeah, I want to go see that now, like in person, and really get that sense of scale or sense of awe or whatever, by going there. But
that's really, really wild.
Yeah, yeah, very cool. So like I'm eager to see where this goes, but at the same time, like there's no real software, like there's no like museum, Night at the Museum app, or whatever, like you'd think they would develop as a result of this, and there really isn't. Same way, like obviously, I mentioned they didn't have anything gaming wise. There's basically no software propelling the hardware forward, and I know we've
never a good sign.
Yeah, never a good sign. Obviously, we're they were not focused on the gaming side of the VR, but this goes to, obviously, I think, even when we see new consoles, it's like you gotta have the software behind it to push the hardware forward. Yeah,
it'll be interesting to see how that fares.
But I'm eager to see, I'm hoping we'll see some more VR games. I feel like VR, like, outside, like you mentioned, DEMEO was great, but like there hasn't been any good VR titles as of late. I'm kind of bummed.
Yeah, not lately. I mean, like I said, DEMEO really showed, I think, the big potential of this medium, especially for multiplayer gaming.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's a lot of potential there. I mean, we'll see what happens. I think VR is starting to find some strides, so let's see what happens in the next few months.
Yeah, exactly.
But
Tell me about the next one. I
Yes.
forgot to put this on there, but I did see some of this, and I know this is your bread and butter right here.
Oh, baby. Yep. Paradox announced the next upcoming sorry. Yes, the next upcoming Crusader Kings 3 expansion, Royal Court, looks amazing. As somebody who adores Crusader Kings 3 with over 250 hours in it now, the expansion sounds very, very interesting, where it's adding an entire layer to your Royal Court, where like you actually now be like there's a whole new mechanic called grandeur that is going to be like currency that you can use, but in order to get that, like you have to like if you're a king, it's mainly to encourage you to go from like duke to king, and now you have they want to like set the big difference between like yeah you're a duke with like 2 vassals and a small territory, but now that you're a king, like you have to hear people that are going to come in with petitions and they're going to want you to do something, or your vassals are going to have, you know, demands, and you're going to have to choose how to handle that. There's a whole bunch more like deeper mechanics to it. It sounds really great. I'll obviously be getting it just because I can't get enough of that game. I'm still having so much fun with it. There's no release date yet, still in early stages. And the same can be said for the next big Paradox reveal, which has finally left the land of memedom. Victoria 3 is getting released. And Vicky 2 is a very, very popular game in the Paradox Grand Strategy series. Kind of the politics, industrial, mercantile, trading simulator. Super, super, super deep strategy game. It's one I still haven't gotten all my handle on yet, and I have to, you know, look into it. But I know the third game is eagerly anticipated by, you know, a subgroup of Paradox fans. And if they handle it as well as they did Crusader Kings 3, I will most certainly be picking that up.
Yeah, I was watching some of their streaming, and it looked super interesting. It's going, I guess, from what 1800s to the early 1900s.
Yep. Yep, basically kind of covering that, you know, industrialization period, and you know that kind of whole like era, like the railroad and all that stuff. So it's going to be really, really interesting. And like I said, I can't wait to play it. Paradox games are just notoriously deep, and once you understand them and get a really good handle on them, like it's just fun. It's a fun. They call them story generators, but just the stuff that happens in your game, you're just like, oh my god! Like,
Sure.
I just have to type this up in a post. Like this is absolute insanity. And so yeah, I'm really looking forward to playing that, and I'll be following that over the next couple of months, and we'll see how it goes.
Very nice. I'm eager to see where that goes, and I know you didn't put it on here, but I think also there's a lot of stuff happening with like Heart of Iron 4. They're putting like more modularity, like
there's more to that. So I should have put that
fleets
on there.
And tanks and stuff. So like it seemed like a really big day for Paradox. Like man, they're doing a ton of stuff. That's awesome.
Yeah, they definitely, I think, hit some home runs with the fan base. So I'm looking forward to seeing where this goes. Yeah, Hearts of Iron 4 is another one I got to get into. Just because that's a really in-depth game, though. That's one that I know is going to take me a while. Like, that's like working with supply lines and shit, and I just was never that deep of a war strategy gamer. But, you know, I'm willing to give it a shot. The next one, so I put this in to be snarky, but this crossed my mind this week, you know, as I'm playing the Elite Odyssey expansion. And it's so funny, I actually just read an article today that kind of put it in a little bit of perspective. I think it was somebody on Kotaku that was playing Star Citizen. But basically what I was saying is, you know, now Elite Odyssey is giving you the ground game. You can run around, you can go to spaceports, you can go to planets, have your character, jump on other player ships. So I was like, what the hell is Star Citizen going to give us that's going to be different and intriguing? And I guess the article I read was that, you know, it is much more detailed in a lot of these areas. Like, there's actual cities on the planets, you know, not just like settlements, and all kinds of stuff. But I guess you know, and the ships are all like fully interactive on the inside, which I thought was pretty impressive, just from the demo I watched. But to me, I'm just like, I don't know. That game's got to do something. A
But
friend of mine, was saying he knew somebody that worked over there, in program management at one point, and the guy was like, "Yeah, it's fucking crazy town." Yeah, no, it's interesting. I mean, I would just love to see, if we're gonna have some major movement in that game this year, if it's gonna be more like pay $10,000 to buy this unique ship that only you can have.
Well, funny enough, just this week they're doing their Invictus Week, which is basically like Fleet Week inside the game. Nothing super new. Obviously, some new ships that or previously you couldn't run around in. So we're still seeing like some of the pledge ships now coming to fruition into the verse. You can now walk around, well, at least part of it. You can walk around part of the largest vehicle that a player can own. Granted, it's I think it's a $3,000 ship.
Jesus Christ. That's what kills me, man. It kills me.
It's one of those limited release. Like it's not one that they normally you can buy compared to the others. So it's a very special ship. But it is. Yeah, but it's very cool to it's like, okay, we're actually starting to see the fleshings out of what will definitely be used as part of Squadron 42.
Okay.
Because it's like basically it's going to be I think it's supposed to be like the primary vessel that you're going to be assigned to essentially as part of Squadron 42 and whatnot. So you're going to become familiar with. So I think they're kind of giving small teases as part of that because as part of the development, Squadron 42 has been it's on super lockdown. They don't really reveal too much of that almost at all. Rightfully so.
Are they even working on it? Because they got to hurry up. Mark Hamill's going to be dead soon.
Well, no, they already got all the acting done. Like all the acting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the acting portions. They did that 2-3 years ago now, I think.
Okay.
So like all the acting stuff's done. So now it's just making the game essentially from here on out. Okay. But definitely, all the players right now are very eagerly chomping at the bit. It's like, where's Squadron 42 at? Because a lot of us players are like, okay, it's like obviously the Star Citizen player universe, obviously it's in the open alpha that it is now. And it kind of it lumbers along, but it's like Squadron 42 is going to be like the first tentpole event.
That's going to be the thing that determines whether or not this game continues.
Absolutely. Now, obviously, it's Squadron 42 is strictly single player, but that's going to be like everything comes together, and it's like in theory, it should be all working together, and you have this experience.
Yeah, and then you step into the multiplayer portion.
Yeah. So now, granted, you can make the argument, Star Citizen is slightly different from Squadron 42 in that Star Citizen is the multiplayer side, so more like Elite, and Squadron 42 is your single player, which Elite, in theory, doesn't have. There are story elements within,
Yeah, there's a bunch. I mean, you kind of have to dig for it, but it's not strictly your character. There's a whole power play and factions and who do you align with and story stuff that actually happens, pretty much every week, every month. And there's this whole thing going on right now with these aliens, I guess that were from the earlier Elite games, have been found again and they're attacking human systems. There's story for sure. Not a heavily scripted story. So, I mean, yeah,
it's more like a universe event.
Yes, exactly.
I classify as So there is that argument. But it's nonetheless Squadron 42 is going to be that temple. It's going to be the watermark in terms of where does everything else fall?
If that does not deliver, Star Citizen maybe has a few months, unless there's people willing to buy more $3,000 special ships.
Well, that's the thing. People are still buying like crazy. The funding's
nuts.
still going off the wall. So I mean, no sign of slowing down.
My wife. Can you imagine her reaction and how much she'd beat the shit out of me if I was I just bought a $3,000 ship in a game. You what? But anyway, yeah. I mean, we'll see.
But it's a valid question. It's because a lot of people have been asking. It's okay, now Odyssey has the ground pounding. Now it's okay. Obviously Star Citizen has had it. Again, in the sense it's still alpha and it's so janky, right now in terms of trying to do that. It's not a fun experience doing the FPS stuff in game.
Right, and it is in Odyssey. I mean, it's not perfect. There's a couple bugs here and there.
Yeah,
but
but you make
it's fun.
Yeah, but you can make the arguments like Star Citizen technically alpha, Elite is now, now it's in full release, and it more or less seems to be working. I've heard reports that some of the stuff is a little janky, but
yeah,
I'll say it's week one, so it's like I'm always willing to give a game. You got week one, and you better start cranking it up afterwards or something else.
Yeah, Frontier's usually been pretty damn good about that. So.
Exactly. So, but yeah, it's like, okay, now Elite has this, so it's like, okay, it's like Star Citizen really does. I feel obviously I say step it up, but it's like we need something a lot more tangible than like a Fleet Week or just whatever else. Like
they got to show.
It's got to be
show
Squadron
some
42.
movement, man.
Yeah, you got to see some movement. Obviously, we're coming up on. Let's see. I want to say that
it's 9 years.
Yeah, I think 9 years. I think I got on in 2013 when they had the Hangar module first came out. So coming close to like 10 years for me. And I understand like something on an MMO level, like it takes a lot of years. Like, I think Warcraft, it was something like in 8 to 10 years. Just,
absolutely.
Get that. Yeah, it's like, I understand that, but we're not getting to the point. It's like, okay, it's like, again, I'm looking more at Squadron 42. Like, it's like
exactly.
We got to see that tent pole. We got to see like, come on, there's got to be something, close to getting something out for that. And I'm hoping we hear something this year around that, just kind of push that forward. But yeah,
absolutely, we shall see. Final bit of news as we come towards wrapping the show up. I'm really so excited, so humbled, so honored to announce Neil Halford, our incredible interview. The designer behind Betrayal at Krondor, and just like anyone that's heard the show, easily one of the best interviews we ever did. Just a fun show. Neil reached out to Nick and I a couple months ago and was making plans. He's doing the second version of his LockdownCon that he, his wife Jonna, and a few other folks put together last year because, with everything with COVID, like Comic-Con and just, cons were getting canceled left and right. And he had initially kind of pulled this together and it went really well. And like Comic-Con picked up a lot of the stuff from LockdownCon, like a lot of the panels wound up getting like hosted in Comic-Con channels and all that. And so they're doing it again this year, and Neil invited Nick and I to be on the panel for Heroes Behind the Mic, of just, podcasts that they want to highlight, that they enjoy, and that are doing something different. And I guess just pick our brains and have us on the other side of the mic for a change with other folks. So it's super exciting. That's going to be on. We are going to be on. He just released the schedule, but you can actually come and see Nick and I on this panel, remotely on Saturday, June 26th. I think we're going to be at 7 p.m. Eastern time is when we are coming on. This is going to be the day from hell for me because we'll be coming back from Cape May that day. And so, I'll be kind of scrambling just to get stuff set up, but hopefully we'll be back with plenty of time for me to spare. I assume it's going to be pretty quick and easy for me to set up considering I work remotely. So it'll be, not a huge deal. But that aside, I'm really, really excited for this opportunity. And it's just really, I thought it was really, really awesome of Neil to think of us. And we're super excited. I don't want to speak for you there, Nick, but I assume so.
I am super enthused. I'm jazzed about it. I'm looking forward to it. This is super cool.
Yeah, and frankly, any chance to talk to Neil is one I relish. He's just it's so funny to kind of say it, but it's like out of that interview and then our talking before and after, like I kind of I'm buds with Neil now, and it's really awesome. He's such a good dude, and just like he inspires me creatively because he's just very. He's so, you can tell he's just so into the creative process and making things. And he's been like sharing stuff with me and some other people, like things that he's working on. And I'm just like, God damn, dude, like I want to be that when, as I get older in my years, like I want to keep creating and doing the fun stuff. So anyway, it was just really neat really awesome to be thought of and to be a part of this panel. And it might get picked up by Comic-Con, which would be freaking amazing, because then we'd like officially have been part of a Comic-Con. That would be nuts.
Exactly. I'm looking forward to that, hopefully.
So it's not guaranteed, but Neil said they picked us up last year.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'll be very interesting to see if that pans out.
Try and get the foot in the door.
Hell yeah, man. And we'll just, we're so awesome at this. We'll definitely make an impression, and then you'll see us at Comic-Con the following year. Or something. Anyway. All right, that is it for news. We're coming down towards the end here. I put in a little joke that the save point game of the month is going to be Elite Dangerous Odyssey. At least it is for me. But I highly recommend, if you've played Elite Dangerous in the past and you liked it, and especially if you haven't played in a couple of years,
it's worth going back. There's a lot of improvements, and again, a great way. Like if you got some friends who have been playing and have like super high level ships, like you said, you can jump into their turrets, you can jump into some of their fighter craft and whatnot. It's very good.
It's so fun. I'm having so much fun with it. I'm kitting up my ship. I've actually been doing some bounty hunting, and that has been a really fun rush. But yeah, other than that, we will wrap up episode 75. No voicemails this week. Again, that's more on me. I didn't do any question of the bye week, and
right.
It's just been trying to get into the chair and record again. Thankfully, barring any emergency surgeries, we will be back in the saddle on our bi-weekly basis.
Oh yeah.
You can call us and leave a voicemail about games or anything you want to talk about at 610-810-1654. Other than that, we'll just go conclusions, shout-outs. Shout out to the fans. We love you all. We're hitting tons of downloads now, and it's just crazy how we continue to grow, and I just really appreciate everyone that listens and shares. The boys at the Bad Fodder Figures, it's always fun to hang out with them, even just go hang out for a game night, and they're just great. I love listening to the show. They do a live stream of it now every Sunday night at 9, so that's always fun to watch. 9 Eastern, by the way. And shout out to the game Married to the Games, just always such a positive crew. Love those guys. And Denny Luce and the gang over at Tap the Craft. I've been getting back into my craft beer podcast, listening with them, and that has caused my wallet to take a bit more of a hit as I hunt these down. But yeah, it's a very fun craft beer podcast. It's not something you think, I know when I first heard of it, I'm like, is that exciting to listen to or fun to listen to? But Denny is a very super knowledgeable dude. Him and his co-host, they're just very knowledgeable and just have a great way of talking about craft beer. So I really, really recommend you check it out. And especially if you like beer, you're going to start dipping into the wallet a little bit more. It's like, God damn, that sounds good. I want that. If you want to interact with us, come by the Save Point and hang out with us there. You can see the videos that Jeremy did when we were playing DEMEO. He has a really great setup, so the videos are nice, high quality, and he clipped some of the really funny moments of our VR fun. And that's at tiny.cc/savepoint. You can email us, theretrorents@gmail.com. Twitter, @theretrorents. I am at RetroRentsAL on Twitter. Nick is at Black Eagle Ops on Twitter. Twitch, Nick is at Black Eagle Ops. I always say I'm going to stream. It's probably never going to happen, but I will try one of these days. If anything, I do Extra Life once a year, and you can follow me on RetroRentsAL at Extra Life. I almost went 24 hours this year, and I could have done probably 6 more hours past that playing Phasmophobia with Nick and the crew. They got tired. God, that was fun. And other than that, we will wrap up episode 75. Just everybody keep staying safe, staying healthy, get your shots, have fun, play games, and don't be dicks. Peace.
Peace.